The Hope Diamond, the Delhi Sapphire, two precious gems, both stolen for personal gain, brought with them a dark and sinister curse to anyone who dared lay hands on them. From infantrymen and scholars to elite socialites and monarchs, the Hope Diamond and Delhi Sapphire cared little of class and more of revenge. Personal and family misfortune, traumatic accidents, and beheadings were the grisly demise of their respective owners and couriers. How can such a precious gem carry with it such a heavy price? Welcome to Everything Vaguely Paranormal. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Everything Vaguely Paranormal. Tonight we have a totally different topic that we haven't quite covered yet, and we're going to be talking about cursed objects.
You mean like my wedding ring?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say that.
A long time ago.
I mean, we are talking about gems tonight. Let's just lump that in there with it real quick. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Blake Smith, and then I also have my cohorts in the paranormal, Mr. Ryan Roberts and Miss Shelley Pruitt. And tonight we're going to be talking about the Hope Diamond and the Delhi Sapphire. I am saying that correct, right? The Delhi, like Delhi sandwich.
Yeah, okay. like New Delhi or Delhi. I mean, it's spelled D-E-L-H-I, but it's Delhi.
I was like, no wonder I get hungry every time I say that name. Like Delhi Sapphire. So, so I kind of scrubbed up on these two gems. I know that that y'all did some deep dive research on them, but I scrubbed up just a little bit. And interesting. Talking about all kinds of weird stuff that seem to follow these two.
Yeah, so it makes you wonder about the things you got for Christmas. If your husband gave you a jewel or your significant other gave you some kind of jewel, I wonder what the story is behind it.
Yeah, you better figure out where it comes from, because it might not come from somewhere good, and it might you might have something going on.
Especially if he got it from an antique store or she got it from an antique store. You know, it wasn't like Zell's or Every Kiss Begins with K, you know, or something.
And if they'd like to sponsor us, we'll be happy to say your name all night long.
So I guess the first one we're going to cover is the Delhi Sapphire. So
yeah.
Right?
So, now I'll be honest, this is the Delhi Sapphire. I only know a little bit about the Delhi Sapphire, only just the stuff I've seen on the History Channel. So I am very interested to hear what you found, Ryan, because I'm like the Hope Diamond aficionado. I love everything about the Hope Diamond. So I actually took the easier one. The harder research is on you this evening.
Oh, yeah, because everybody knows about that Hope Diamond. I mean, you can ask anybody on the street, and 9 times out of 10, I guarantee somebody knows or has heard something about the Hope Diamond. And so in the same vein of the Hope Diamond, I was like, so we're looking at that cursed object. So maybe if I can find something that is kind of similar, maybe there's another cursed gemstone out there that we haven't heard of.
There's actually lots of them.
Yeah, there's actually a few.
I found that out while looking at all. There's a lot.
And so I got to looking around, and this one and the Hope Diamond are two of the most famous ones. And actually, not to get into what Shelley's going to talk about later, actually share the same country of origin.
They do.
Which is very interesting. So if you know anything about the British Empire, the British Empire was all over the world in the 1800s. They always used to say, what was the saying? The sun never sets on the British Empire. So they had holdings from like the islands all the way to Africa, all the way into Eastern Asia. And one of the places they had a foothold in was in India. And they ended up pissing off the Indians in 1857. And, if you know anything about it, they were just like very cruel to them. They were an occupying force, but they were just not nice to them whatsoever. They antagonized them a lot. So India got tired of it, and they were just like, you know what, screw y'all. And India had an uprising in 1857.
I believe the United States did the same thing. Look at the region, screw y'all.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna throw your tea somewhere. Take your tea in.
The Americans were the original tea baggers.
They were like, take y'all's tea and shove it up your ass. We don't need your tea no more. But so India has an uprising, and India does not have the resources or the power that Britain has. So Britain very quickly reacts and puts down their uprising. Now, when they do this, the British Army wreaked havoc on the communities and the temples and everything in India. I mean, they were fighting, pillaging, looting, everything. So one of these soldiers, whose name is Colonel W. Ferris, he goes into the Temple of Indra, which is the Hindi god of war and thunderstorms. And
yeah, get that title.
Not only that, but yeah, sure. Let's go into that temple.
Let's go into the most menacing temple we can find to take something out of.
Yeah, let's go piss that god off. Yeah,
exactly.
Right. I mean, come on. So he goes in, he breaks in, and he finds this sapphire and takes it. And he's like, "Oh, this is gonna bring me great wealth. I'm gonna take this back home. I'm gonna, show it off to all my friends and have it back at the house." So
have it back at the house.
I'm gonna invite Mama and them over.
Mama and them gonna come see this cool thing I got.
Like it's a damn coffee table centerpiece or something. Just there you go.
But he very quickly wishes he hadn't. So he takes it from this temple. He returns to England with the stone, and then he begins to suffer financial misfortunes. And not only that, every member of his family just becomes inexplicably ill. And he's just starting to think, hey, maybe there's something up with this. So he lends it to a friend. And that friend commits suicide after coming into possession of this thing very shortly.
Oh, shit.
So anyway, from the friend, it comes back into the possession of the Ferris family. And his son is hanging on to this thing. So in 1890, he finds a man named Edward Heron Allen. Now, Edward Heron Allen was a very studious man. He was a writer. He was a scientist. He was a polymath. I mean, he did all kinds of stuff. I mean, he was a Renaissance man for his day. Very, very academic, just did not believe in curses or anything paranormal or supernatural in any way of the sort. And shortly after he got the sapphire, he became very superstitious because guess what? He starts to suffer financial misfortunes. So he takes it to a jeweler and he has it adorned on a silver ring and fashioned. The silver ring is fashioned around a double-headed snake. He attaches 2 amethyst scarab beetles to it and inscribes the ring with zodiac symbols in order to contain the curse to this ring so it doesn't affect him in the rest of his life. Doesn't work.
I was fixing to say, you're using Egyptian symbols, which don't belong to you. You're using zodiac symbols, which, okay. And you're using snake symbols.
Yeah. I think he was just so desperate to do whatever he could to make sure it was contained because he had so much going on and so much bad juju had come with this thing. So he fashions it into a ring to wear around all the time? I don't know if he wore around all the time. I know he kept it in his study most of the time and would lend it out occasionally. And
Now, we all know about cursed objects. We know what happens if you take something from a haunted location and you begin to have misfortune. What do? You take that son bitch back.
Yeah, immediately. That's exactly what you do.
And you apologize.
Yes, profusely.
Yes, you don't ever take anything from any place that has any kind of juju on it because you don't want that juju coming with you.
I mean,
but I guess he didn't know perhaps where it should be returned to.
No, I mean, like, it was just taken from a temple. I mean, he was just given it. You know, he didn't know where it came from. It was just something that he had, and a family friend gave to him, and he was like, "Fine, I'll take it. If you think it's so spooky and crazy, I'll take it." You know, I'm this very, you know,
he's all Billy Badass over there going,
yeah,
this.
Exactly. Yeah. But to expound on what you were saying, I mean, like, even some things don't even like you taking photographs of them. I mean, like, to expand, like, what you were saying with Robert the Haunted Doll, like, you have to ask him permission to take a photograph, and people who don't send photographs back to him, and they're like apologizing profusely, like, "Hey, I didn't mean to take this. You know, you take this back," because all of a sudden they start suffering misfortune. I mean, there are like cursed ghost towns out west. You hear of people taking stones from the ground,
rocks, and then sending them back.
Yeah, because immediately after they took something, I mean, just everything just went sideways for them.
Is anybody else thinking about the Brady Bunch episode where Greg takes the tiki thing and he has to go? Sorry, that just popped into my head. He's in the surf competition. All of a sudden, where's Greg? Where's Greg? He's got that idol around his neck. We got to take the idol back. Sorry.
Oh, no. I mean, that's immediately what I thought when I was reading.
Good analogy, though. I'll give you that. Great analogy.
Very relatable. Yeah.
Yes.
I think everybody's seen that episode.
So for a while, the curse calms down, and he doesn't have to worry about it. But shortly after he has this ring fashioned, he starts keeping this thing in his study. An apparition of a Hindu yogi starts appearing in his study. And him and several other members of his family witnessed this thing. What? And it said the yogi would appear in the family study. And Heron Allen wrote that, quote, "He sits on his heels in the corner of the room, digging in the floor with his hands as if he is searching for it." So, I mean, you got a cursed object, and now, like, it's pretty much known that it's a haunted object.
Now you got now it brought a ghost there digging holes in your floor? Oh, hell no.
What the shit?
Yeah. So he is, I mean, you know, a person who was not superstitious becomes very superstitious by the time everything is said and done with this particular piece of jewelry. So in 1902, he reluctantly gives he lends out the jewel to a friend of his, and he goes to Egypt, and he's gone to Egypt for a while, and he comes back in 1903, and guess what is sitting at his home when he gets in there is the sapphire. It's back at his house.
Shut up.
And he again suffers great misfortune and bad luck. So he's fed up with this, and he's like, you know what? Screw this. I don't need this. I'm sick of this. He walks down to the nearest canal, and he just tosses it into the nearest canal. Well, 3 months later, someone dredges it up from the bottom of the canal.
Oh, shit.
Like a bad penny. Damn thing just keeps turning back up.
Takes it to a local jeweler. The jeweler recognizes it and was like, "Oh, I'm the one that made this. I'm the one that fashioned it into a ring and everything. I know where this belongs." He buys it from the guy and then takes the ring back to Heron Allen, believing that he's performing a good deed.
I'm sorry.
Oh, my Lord.
These are like the stories like you hear, like, I just read this. It's like my friend thought like on whatever, Facebook or something on the interwebs. And it was like, this person said, my friend thought The Exorcist was the scariest book ever, and he threw it into a lake. So I went out and got another copy, ran it underwater, and put it back in the tank. Like, that's right. Like what is happening right here.
You know what? That is totally a dick move, and it is so something I would do in a heartbeat.
Like, yeah, I mean, this is like a cartoon. Like, you cannot get rid of this. You know, like you've all seen that Tom and Jerry cartoon where like he's trying to get rid of something and it just keeps on showing up and coming back. You know. And yeah, I mean, could you imagine? You're like, okay, I have finally rid my life of this thing. It's gone. It's in the bottom of a canal somewhere. The currents have taken it away. And then you get a knock on your door. Hey, I found the ring. You know, like, son of a bitch. So, I mean, I can only imagine what he was thinking and what he was. I mean, because if he weren't superstitious before now, I mean, I'm sure now he's just like, fuck, this thing is.
We have to think about it. What are the chances? That
exactly.
he just chunks it into a canal. Someone just happens to find it, happens to take it to the exact jeweler that made it. That jeweler thinks, oh my goodness, this man must have lost it. I'm going to buy it back and I'm going to take it back to the man. I'm going to take money out of my own pocket and buy it and then give it back to him.
Yeah. I mean
that's got to be astronomical.
The odds are insane.
Odds, like almost damn near impossible. Like,
God, infinite canals, infinite tributaries to the river, currents and everything else. Why is this thing just sticking in the bottom and just staying where it's at,
But at the same time, how many jeweler, I can't ever say that word, merchants, jewelers.
I can say the word.
Thank you. Get a little tongue tied every now and then. But how many of them are in the city? I mean, it just so happens he walks right into that one. Like, the odds are just
that's just insane.
Yeah.
Well, whether he wants it or not, or likes it or not, he comes back into possession of this thing. So he hangs on to it. And a friend of his, who was a professional singer, asks if she can borrow it because she wants to wear it on her outfit when she's about to do a concert later on. Well, she gets the sapphire, takes it back to her home. Her voice dies, and she never sings professionally ever again.
What?
Just inexplicably, just done. And she was never able to sing another note. So
no reason, just out of just no rhyme or reason to it, just voice gone.
Yep, just gone. Nobody just absolutely inexplicable. Like people are just like, what the fuck? Like what? So,
and she, prior to the time, as far as we know, it had no problems with her voice.
Nope.
None of that.
According to the research.
I'm trying to debunk.
Yeah.
Sorry.
According to the research.
That can cause you to lose your voice if you have vocal nodes.
So according to the research, there was no reason why she wasn't able to sing. She just, she got the gem, took it home, and within the next couple of days, just her voice died forever.
And I wonder, did she know the story about this stone before she asked to borrow it?
I'm sure she probably did. And I'm sure he tried to warn her. But, if someone's determined to do something, you're just like, okay.
Yeah, you might as well just step back and, get your camera ready.
If you want to, you go right on ahead. So I'm sure he warned her, but she just did not listen. So anyway, he ends up getting it back, comes back. And this thing is like volleyed around, tossed back and forth more than a football on Sunday. This thing is just going all over the place.
This poor guy, though, you think he's getting all excited every time he gives it out or lends it out or whatever, throws it into a river, and then shit, here it comes again.
It's like, finally, oh, damn it, not again, And so he is freaked out at this point, like really freaked out. If he wasn't before, he is now, because like now it's actually harmed someone that he knows directly. And so what he does is he decides to get rid of the gem. So he packs it into several boxes filled with charms and deposits it in his bank in a safety deposit box, and leaves instructions not to open the box until 33 years after his death.
What's up with 33? And he whenever you say he packs it in boxes, it's one ring. So what does he do? Put the ring in a box with some less salt, and then puts that box inside of another box.
With in a box, in a box, in a box with all kinds of charms and stuff to keep the power contained.
What did it say? What the deal is with 33, or have you just not gotten to that yet? I'm jumping the
he
gun.
Just, that was a number that just came to him, I guess, from what I understand. And he just said 33 after he's like, I don't want to open. I guess maybe hey. Long enough after I'm gone, just don't open this thing. So 33 years was what he put in the box, in the note that he put in the box.
Oddly specific, though.
Yeah, it is very specific.
Yeah, and that's just a strange random number.
And I could not find the reason why he said 33 years. I just think it's probably because, hey, I'm going to be gone a long time after that. Just don't open this thing until...
The only thing I can think of is third of a century.
You know what? That might be, because 30, you're right.
You know what?
He's thinking,
I would have been that kid who'd have been like, oh, my daddy passed away. He always had this stone with him. Let's put it on his gravestone.
He'd want to be buried with it. I just know it.
He took such good care of it. Look, he had it made into a ring. I think I'm going to put it on my daddy's headstone.
He's just hanging out in heaven, having a good old time. Then the clouds open up and he just falls straight down.
And he's like, damn, did you see what that kid did?
No, what happens is he's hanging up in heaven, and then all of a sudden here comes the next angel, and he's presenting it to him like, here, I brought this to you. And he's sitting there going, damn it.
I mean, like I said, I just can't help but think of the wolf from like the Droopy cartoons. Whenever like he tries to get away from Droopy, and Droopy just keeps showing up randomly, you know.
Yep.
And no matter what he does,
hello. Yeah. That's a good Droopy. Ryan, in your impersonation.
Boo. And he's like, he freaks out and runs out the door, and it don't matter where he goes, this thing just keeps coming back. Well, according to my research, it just went into the safety deposit box into the bank. And as far as I know, nothing ever happened again to Heron Allen, but he dies in 1943. And his daughter comes into possession of the Sapphire. And
so 1976, she can open it.
Yeah, she can. But she just goes, you know what? I don't want this thing. Her son said that she refused to ever touch the box because she feared great misfortune. She never went anywhere near it. So she says, you know what? The Natural History Museum can have this. She sends it to the Natural History Museum. And it has opened in 1972, so they didn't heed his warning.
Shit.
They open it in 1972, and there's a note inside of the box from Heron Allen that says, "If I were you, I would throw it into the sea." So
obviously that doesn't work, though.
No, I mean, hell, he's tried. So, like I said, they opened the box in 72, and they put it on display. And to this day,
beautiful.
Yeah, it is very pretty.
A beautiful violet stone. Wow.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, but it's ill-gotten, and you don't want to mess with that thing. So it's still on display in the museum to this day. And in 2004, museum curator John Whitaker was asked to transport the gem to a lecture at the Heron Allen Society. And it's the first time it was the first time in his life that he and his wife were almost injured in a violent thunderstorm trying to transport it to the Heron Allen Museum
The
Society.
God of Thunder was coming back to get it.
I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
But wait. So even that was in 2004?
That was in 2004. So this is the first time he's trying to haul it to that convention.
So in 2004, and Heron Allen died when?
He died in 1943.
43. So we're close to 60 years later. Mm-hmm. This thing's being brought back to a place called the Heron Allen Building.
The Heron Allen Society. They were meeting. It's an academic society.
Brought back to him.
Yes.
And the God of Thunderstorm says F no.
Yes.
Oh
he and his wife were caught in a violent thunderstorm that almost killed them both. So he's asked again a few years later to transport it a second time.
No, thank you.
No, I'm good.
He then becomes violently ill and inexplicably cannot make it. And then he is asked one final time to transport this thing. Yep. He collapses in agony only to pass a kidney stone later.
Well, thank God it passed.
What the shit?
So they took this thing back to the museum, and there it sits, and there it's going to sit, and no one is going to take it out unless they decide to take it on display again somewhere else. But if you want to go see it, it's in the National History Museum in England. And
I mean, it is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but
I can see how people would become infatuated with it. It is a beautiful stone. And I love that purple color. I just think it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
but no thanks.
No, I mean, just the record of misfortune and pitfalls and everything associated with this, I wouldn't touch that thing with a 30-foot pole. I mean, there is no way I'd go anywhere near that thing. And
I would go to look at it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't touch the case.
Of course, of course.
I would totally go look at it as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I may have seen the next cursed stone on our list in a museum.
I may have seen the same stone in a museum.
But that is the story of the Delhi Sapphire.
How interesting though. Yeah. I keep this poor guy, man. I keep talking I got rid of it. Oh damn! I got rid of it. Oh damn!
I'm just flabbergasted with the fact that he chunks it into the water and the thing comes back to him.
Yeah, it just comes back. It's me again.
That's just crazy. That's crazy.
Wow.
And see, well, this stone that you talked about, the Delhi Sapphire, had really just one or two people that suffered serious misfortune from it. The Hope Diamond has a whole history dating back to 1666. 1666.
Oh God.
Oh my
Associated
Lord.
Why
with
not?
that's how far the history of the Hope Diamond goes back. So let me tell you that a French merchant named Jean Baptiste Tavernier, and I believe I'm pronouncing that right, Tavernier, look at me being all French and shit, came into possession of a 112 and 3/16 carat diamond. It was triangular in shape, and it was very crudely cut, and it had an unusual blue-violet color. So again, the Hope Diamond is known for being blue, but there's actually tiny touches of violet in it, almost like the Delhi Sapphire. So where did it come from? It came from, well, as far as we know, from what Tavernier wrote in his journals. He wrote that it was in a temple in India, and it had a huge idol in this temple with eyes that were just crafted of diamonds. Just the eyes of this idol were encrusted in diamonds. And the smallest diamond in this idol's eyes didn't weigh less than 40 carats. 40 carats is a big damn piece of
That
rock.
is huge. That is insane.
Those are the smallest ones. And the one that he has is 112 and 3/16 carats. That's the Hope Diamond.
Wow.
So the merchant goes on to tell the story to a local Indian jeweler that he so desired the stone that he plucked it from the eye of the idol and tried to steal it. And the thief waited until morning. So Tavernier says he didn't steal it, but he got it from someone who stole it. And so the thief, he waited until everybody left the temple, and he decided to wait until morning to make his exit. And just when he was about to make his escape, the thief was struck dead at the entrance of the temple.
What?
Struck dead. Just done.
I just think you might just should leave stuff that's at the Indian temple. Just leave it alone. Don't ever take it nowhere else.
Well, see, his death was actually attributed to the wrath of the idol being pissed off. Wow. That's why they thought he they were saying that the deity was punishing him.
But there was no official cause of death other than he just
and again, this comes from Tavernier's journals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he says that he got it from a thief. So that means that old thief had to have a partner somehow that got out of that temple.
Yeah.
So and in India, diamonds were believed to have inherent qualities based on their color. Like if you had a white diamond, you possessed it, you were supposed to have prosperity and wealth. And that red diamonds, which are very rare, look a lot like rubies, but they do have diamonds that actually have a red hue. More like pink now, pink diamonds. And that was supposed to symbolize bravery and courage and honor. And then the blue diamonds, or violet diamonds, misfortune, ill omens, and bad luck were associated with blue diamonds. So even though Tavernier was aware of all these stories, it still believes that he stole the blue diamond from the Indian temple. So it goes from a thief stole it to Tavernier saying he stole it. So I think Tavernier was the partner in that little theft.
Yeah.
He never says he is, but how else would we know the thief got struck dead at the door? I picture it was booby trapped like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom.
Absolutely.
It's like he's doing this.
That's what went through my head.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Tavernier is like the one who got out.
That's exactly what went through my head when you said he just struck dead.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when it was discovered that this diamond had been stolen, the protectors of the temple, and I'm guessing they were monks, or I'm forgive me, I don't know what Indian holy men are called, and my apologies, I don't.
I think yogis. I think if I'm not mistaken.
Yogis, okay. Well, once the theft was discovered, they allegedly placed a curse on the diamond and anyone who dared to possess it. And so that's where the legend of the curse of the Hope Diamond is actually born. So on December 6th in 1668, Tavernier appears at the French court of Versailles with the diamond. But he somehow didn't have a record of where or when he obtained it. He's like, hey, look what I got. You want to buy it? And he sells it to King Louis XIV of France.
So the king was pretty much just like, ooh, shiny.
Ooh,
just had to have it. So
yes. So
no questions asked.
Yes. So this strange blue diamond was allegedly King Louis' the favorite, but Louis didn't think it was perfect. So Louis had the court jeweler cut the stone down from 112 and 3/16 carats to roughly 67 to 69 carats. and it was polished, and it was suspended on a neck ribbon that the king occasionally wore on royal ceremonial occasions. So he basically cut it in half.
Yeah.
Do we know what happened to the other half?
Okay. So it's alleged that these smaller pieces, being the way it was cut, he was chipping it off and chipping it down, and that these were basically discarded.
Really?
Well, I mean, you remember he's cutting them very crude cutting tools. It's not like nice little laser etchings, the laser cutters we have now that can, shape these perfect diamonds and everything. And again, some of the best diamonds are still cut by hand. But yeah, these were very crude tools, and this is the king's diamond. So yeah, we're going to take it off just a little bit at a time, because if we screw up and break this thing, the king's going to have our heads. So from what I read, it looked like some of it was discarded. It was considered leftovers. Off with it. So after selling the diamond to King Louis, Tavernet traveled to Russia seeking more valuable and rare things. But he actually becomes the first victim of the curse. He met his fate in a most horrible fashion. He was torn apart by wild dogs while in Russia.
Jesus Christ.
Shit.
In Memphis.
Good random shit.
Yeah, he's running around out in Russia looking for rare and valuable things to take back to Versailles, and encounters a pack of wild dogs, and he is ripped to shreds.
I just like to think he had to take a pee or something and got out of a stagecoach and went to go take a leak, and they just came out of the woods and got him.
Yes. So he is victim number 1 of the curse. Wow. The person who, the merchant / thief, because I think he was that dude's partner.
Oh, absolutely. That's what it sounds like.
So now, meanwhile, at the French court, Louis becomes smitten with a beautiful young lady, a beautiful young duchess. And he takes her as a mistress. Kings had lots of mistresses, dirty dogs. And he was allegedly so in love with her that he gives her the blue diamond to wear, which she does. And this enrages one of King Louis's other mistresses, because, hey, I'm mistress number 2, you're mistress number 6, you give me that damn diamond. But the previous mistress was so jealous that she poisoned the young duchess and kills her.
Oh
shit.
Oh yes. So the duchess becomes victim number 2.
Oh my Lord.
So now we got 2 down. So for 4 decades after that, the blue diamond rested in peace in the ceremonial jewelry that was commissioned by the Order of the Golden Fleece, which is pretty much the fancy name for the French crown jewels.
Okay.
It's what they call them, the Order of the Golden Fleece. Okay. So unfortunately, Louis XIV, he doesn't come out so good in this either. And, pretty much in a death that's kind of worthy of a Shakespearean tragedy. Louis XIV falls ill. Doctors inspect him and find out that he has gangrene that has spread into his bones.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
And after 21 miserable days, Louis XIV basically rots to death in his bed.
Ooh.
That's a pretty disgusting way to go.
Yeah. That's a rough one.
So victim number 3, rotten King Louis.
So we got 2. So we've got a wild dog. We've got
one
a
wild dog attack, poisoning,
and we've got
rotten to death.
Rot.
Rot.
Okay.
Yeah,
rot.
basically rot.
Okay.
Ooh.
This diamond is creative.
So yeah. So the gem remains in the possession of the French royalty, and it was passed to King Louis XVI and his wife. Now, who is King Louis XVI's wife? I know you guys know this answer.
I know. Do you know?
Go ahead.
Marie Antoinette.
Let them eat cake. Marie Antoinette. Queen Marie Antoinette. Yes. And unfortunately for Queen Marie Antoinette, diamonds were not a girl's best friend in this case. She often wore this precious diamond around her neck at parties. And that same neck later would face the guillotine. So victim number 4, Marie Antoinette, of French royalty, who had her head lopped off.
So a royal assassination, is that?
I don't know. Yeah, let's go ahead.
I believe the government was overthrown, and they pretty much chopped off her head.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Old Napoleon and Robespierre and all those guys.
Absolutely. So during this French Revolution, the crown jewels were moved to a warehouse to protect them during the uprising. Now, why a warehouse was more secure than a fortified castle? I do not know. But apparently they thought a warehouse was the place to go. So really, the diamond was really not safe. And so in 1792, over a 5-night period, professional thieves broke into the warehouse. Over 5 nights now. So obviously security wasn't so good.
Yeah, they ain't very tight.
And they stole the crown jewels over a 5-night period, and it disappears. It disappears for a very long time. Go ahead, Ryan.
But yeah, go ahead.
It took them, they literally broke in.
5 nights in a row.
5 friggin' nights, and no one noticed.
And nobody bothered to go look in and say, hey, let's go check on them crown jewels.
They're just sitting outside drinking wine. What is that sound I hear? I do not know. Let's go find out.
I don't know. It's the French Revolution. Let them eat cake. That's when Marie Antoinette says, oh, yeah, that bitch is dead. Ha, 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 ha.
The diamonds, they can go somewhere else. Yeah. I do not care.
I don't get paid enough for this shit. Yeah, exactly. So this diamond disappears now for 20 years. So 20 years later, in 1812, a mysterious blue diamond appears in a London jewelry shop. And it bears a striking resemblance to the blue diamond, which they called at that time the French blue diamond. But there's one difference. It isn't 67 carats anymore. It's now been cut down to a mere 44 carats.
Damn.
So they've cut it again, which if you've watched any good, jewelry heist, the first thing you do is they cut the diamonds to make them different. So thinking these thieves, and I don't have any idea what happened to the thieves, but you got that much money. Somebody probably died in it, but we don't know for sure. So it shows up in this jewelry store, down to being only 44 carats now.
And I'm sure the French were thrilled that the British had possession of it at that point.
Screw 'em. So the next person believed to have owned the diamond was George IV of England. So ruin soon followed poor old King George IV. He died overweight, suffering from gout. And in 1830, his assets had to all be sold to pay his debts, including the diamond was sold. So he became victim number 5.
Now, as a king, how in the hell do you lose all your money? You have a literal king's ransom.
Exactly. Can't you just raise taxes?
I mean, yeah. What the hell did he do?
He became so in debt to other countries, stuff like that. So he basically lost his fortune and dying overweight with gout. I mean, that can't be nice. That can't be a fun way to die. So he basically dies bankrupt and pretty much almost bankrupts England. So yeah, he's not portrayed real well. So he's victim number 5.
I was gonna say that the next king or the next royalty in line that comes in after that, I wonder how long it took them to amass more wealth back, because it sounds like they just inherited a broke kingdom.
Pretty much. So whenever they had to sell off all of George's assets, including the diamond, it was bought by a wealthy British banker named Henry Philip Hope. And this is the man that gives the diamond the name, the Hope Diamond. And in 1887, Francis Hope, he's 21 years old. He inherits the family estate, the art, the collections, the fortunes, and the diamonds. However, young Francis Hope, he likes the ladies.
Who don't?
And he loses it all. He loses it all chasing a young actress named May Yoa. He sets her up in luxury. He pays for everything. And he gambles away his $75 million. 1887. He was worth $75 million in 1887.
God almighty, she finessed the hell out of him.
He gambled away that much money trying to keep actress May Yoa in a very lavish lifestyle. He bought everything. And again, he liked to gamble. And of course, I'm sure he wasn't betting pennies at the, WinStar at the slot machine. Again, if WinStar would like to sponsor us, we'll say your name all night long. Trying to keep this actress in this lavish lifestyle. Well, once he's broke, guess what happens? May Yoa, she leaves him, of course. And that was in 1901. She leaves him. And then she makes a movie that blames the demise of their love on the Hope Diamond. So Lord Francis, he's forced to sell the Hope Diamond, and he dies financially ruined and alone. And he becomes victim number 6.
So not only did she leave you, she made a movie about leaving you.
She made a movie about, it was the diamond that ruined our love. It wasn't him and the fact he broke now.
And you broke yourself trying to buy her stuff. Come on, man.
That's like the turn of the century of Taylor Swift writing a song about you. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
Actually, that's worse. That's like Stevie Nicks asking hers to play guitar for her while she just sang songs about how shitty he was.
Yeah,
I know, man. I don't know how they did that, man. I'm surprised somebody didn't come across that drum kit and beat the hell out of somebody at some point during Fleetwood Mac's run.
So now we have 2 in a row that have been financially devastated. King George and then Lord Francis. They just die broke. And of course, Lord Francis also loses his lady that he's chased all this time. So for the next several years, the victim, the diamond allegedly claims several more victims in quick succession. So number 7 and 8. Okay. 7 was a Russian prince that brought the diamond and gave it to a French actress. Shortly after that, the prince shot and killed her. And then he met a quick end, being stabbed to death by revolutionaries.
Oh, gosh.
So victim number 7, he shot and killed the French actress he gave it to. And then he was stabbed to death by revolutionaries. So that's victim 7 and 8.
Man, this is a
shot,
high body count.
Wow.
And stabbed. Okay. Then the ownership begins to change hands even more quickly now. Victim number 9 is a Greek jeweler who purchased the diamond. And then he was walking along, taking in the beautiful scenery, and he falls off a cliff and plunges to his death.
Jesus.
Within 3 weeks of purchasing the diamond.
What the shit?
He just walking along, suddenly, down he goes. And he falls to his death. And he becomes victim number 9. Now, victim number 10 is a sultan. Purchased the diamond and allegedly became so fascinated with it. All he wanted to do was look at it, hold it, and touch it, and be near it. And he went crazy. He went insane.
Just from being infatuated, like he was so infatuated with the diamond, he went insane, or
the lust for this gemstone and the having possession of it, it made him crazy. So he goes crazy. And then finally, the family of the Sultan, they want to sell this thing. They want to get rid of it. They don't want nothing to do with it anymore. It's been very bad luck to them. And Pierre Cartier, we've all heard of Cartier diamonds, yes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So in order to sell it, Pierre Cartier acts as a broker in 1909. And he sells this diamond to a very wealthy socialite named Evelyn McLean. The price? Well, the price that Miss Evelyn McLean paid still is a bit of question around it, but it was estimated she paid about $180,000 for the
what year was this again?
This was in 1909.
Whew.
$180,000 in 1909.
That's got to be easily a couple mil these days.
Oh, no. I got to tell you, it was nothing to Evelyn McLean. Because, see, she was the daughter of a gold miner who struck it rich. And then she married Edward Ned McLean in 1908. So she's been married a year. And Ned was heir to the Washington Post and to the Cincinnati Enquirer publishing fortues.
Oh, so they're set up for life.
Okay.
Yeah, her daddy owns a gold mine and he owns 2 papers.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Evelyn delights in owning this diamond. She threw lavish parties that were attended by other rich families and royalty. And even President Warren G. Harding came to one of her fancy little soirees. I mean, her parties were legendary, okay? So she was the tip toast of the town.
I can imagine her walking around these parties with this thing. I'm going, oh, this old thing.
Absolutely. So everyone came to her parties because they knew that it was going to be a show. She would sometimes hire acrobats, like the Chinese acrobats from China, to come in and do shows. She would have fire dancers and all kind. There was always a show at one of her parties. So if you got invited, you went.
Hell, I want to go.
I do too.
Shit.
But the centerpiece of these parties always was the Hope Diamond. Sometimes it was displayed in a very pretty case. Sometimes Evelyn herself wore it. Sometimes she allowed Mike to wear it. You know who Mike is?
Mm-mm.
Mike was her Great Dane dog.
Oh my God.
They would put the Hope Diamond on Mike, and they would lead him around through the sea of partygoers and let him see the Hope Diamond with Mike just on Mike's neck.
$180,000 diamond.
And Mike was sporting it as a collar.
And I think, just maybe it's just me. I mean, if she didn't know the track record of this thing, this is probably not something you want to mock openly in front of a bunch of people.
Exactly.
Oh no, but you see, she did, because Cartier had told her the stories, and she, just as your ill-fated fellow, didn't believe in curses. She was like, "Oh no, that's a wonderful story," but she thought a story was all that it was.
I still, if somebody told me they were handing me, they gave me like a very rare, very important item, and they said, "Now listen, they've said that this, and this happens around this thing." I'm still not going to take my chances. Maybe it's because of what we do, or it's because
exactly,
or it's because there's so many cautionary tales throughout history of people like possessing these items and then doing something stupid with them. And don't test it. That is, and I know that goes against everything that we do when I say don't test it. But yeah, when it comes to that shit, don't even try. Don't even try to mess around with that, because you're just asking for it.
Evelyn had openly stated that she did not believe in curses, and proved it by putting it on display and trotting Mike around with his $180,000 collar with the Hope Diamond. I mean, and really.
That's obviously not. Yeah, that's
no. That's Mike's. Mike was actually a Great Dane, but that was one of her dogs. Yeah, that was one of her dogs, and I'm sure if you look close enough, that diamond's probably on that damn dog somewhere.
Probably somewhere.
But Mike was the Great Dane, and apparently he wore it best. That's why it was on Mike. And plus, too, I guess if somebody tried to take it, I mean, Mike's a big old Great Dane. I mean,
true.
So I guess Mike could defend him and everything. But for 10 years, whenever Evelyn and Ned owned the diamond, nothing bad seemed to happen to them. They were the toast of the town, hosting these wonderful parties. Everybody came, presidents, royalty, I mean, there was no ill will to be found.
But still, even if you know the story, I know she doesn't believe in curses or anything like that, but like, that's just it. Things are just too quiet around that thing.
Well, it really is kind of. Even if she doesn't believe him, it still seems like she has a mocking air about it, that she is just, oh, I know the story, but I'm still going to show it off. I'm still going to show that I own it. Still in a mocking manner.
So she was flaunting her wealth. Right? And again, she said she didn't believe in curses, but maybe she should have. Because after 10 years owning the diamond, nothing happened. And within 10 years of owning it, a terrible series of events began to unfold in the McLean household. In 1919, their young son, Vincent, was playing on the edge of the estate, and he was struck and killed by a car.
Oh, damn.
He was 9 years old.
Wow.
So Vincent became victim number 11. Child was just playing.
Poor kid.
And he was struck and killed by a car. So this pretty much shatters Evelyn McLean. Soon after Vincent's death, the Washington Post goes bankrupt. Now, in that day and time, how did a newspaper go bankrupt?
Yeah, especially the Post.
The Washington Post goes bankrupt. Their family fortune is pretty much decimated because, they've been spending all kinds of crazy. And then Evelyn and Ned's marriage begins to fall apart. And it was a much publicized and bitterly contested divorce. And there were also claims of infidelity. Ned filed for divorce in a Mexican court because he just wanted to be out of this marriage. So he took his ass to Mexico. He's like, I'm done. Get me out. He files for divorce. But Evelyn obtained a permanent injunction ordering the Mexican court to cease and desist in the proceedings of the case that she had to divorce him in the United States. So the Mexican court went, okay, and they backed up. And I'm telling you, the public just devoured this scandal. I mean, you're talking one of the most wealthy socialites that had all this stuff and flaunted all this stuff and owned the Hope Diamond and all this stuff. And guess what? They were being drugged through the mud publicly. Everybody likes Everybody looks
everybody loves a
yeah.
good scandal.
Like, this is the time during the robber barons and like yellow journalism and the muckrakers and all that stuff. So there's probably going to be like, guess what this bitch did,
Maybe the Washington Post would have gone bankrupt if they would have been talking about their own story in that, because that's probably the only one didn't say shit about Evelyn and Ned.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But finally, the divorce was granted on December the 13th of 1932.
From 1911 to 1932, they contested this divorce that long.
Bitterly contested.
Yes. Jesus.
Damn.
And that drug out for a long time.
Yep. Shit. Yep. Let me make sure. Yes, they filed for divorce. And no, okay. So 1919 is when Vincent is killed.
Oh, okay. I thought okay for some reason, but still 1919 to 32 is
no. He's killed in 1919, and then it says the Post goes bankrupt, the family fortune's decimated, and then Evelyn and Ned's marriage falls apart. So we're going to guess that probably happens within 2 or 3 years. That would be my guess. But either way, this went on for almost 10 years trying to get a divorce. Yeah, because there's a lot of things to divide, or allegedly there's a lot of things to divide. But see, the curse still wasn't finished with them. The curse with them. The curse is still not finished with them. In 1933, Ned McClain was declared legally insane. He was court ordered to be committed indefinitely to a psychiatric hospital, and he died there of a heart attack in 1941, and he became victim number 12.
Do we know what happened to get him that status?
That I could not find. But somehow or another, a year after he's divorced, he's declared legally insane and ordered indefinitely to a psychiatric hospital.
That's the
indefinitely.
Yeah. Something I don't know, that just don't add up.
And perhaps I could have missed it. Perhaps I could have missed it in my research, but I mean, he's lost the family fortune, and he's divorced his wife. Public scandal. Now, whether or not one of their children had him committed because he was acting crazy, which it seems, now that I'm saying that, seems like there's something in that one of the children had something to do with it, like daddy's acting nutty, we got to fix this. And he dies there of a heart attack in 1941.
Yeah, it seems like the fix is in on old George. Is his name George? I'm sorry.
Ned.
It seems like the fix is on Ned. I don't know.
So he becomes victim number 12. And in need of money now, Evelyn tries to sell the Hope Diamond back to Pierre Cartier, but he's like, that's no problem. Pierre Cartier refused to buy the diamond back. So in September of 1946, Evie McClain, who is the daughter of Evelyn and Ned, became victim number 13. She was found dead in her home. The cause of death was an accidental overdose of sleeping pills. She was only 24. And she becomes victim number 13. Dang. Now, the last known victim, let me rephrase, not the last known victim, the last documented victim that was an owner of the Hope Diamond was Evelyn McClain herself. In 1947, she died from pneumonia with complications from alcoholism. So she drinks herself to death. She gets pneumonia and she just drinks herself to death. She was also the last private owner of the Hope Diamond, and she was victim number 14.
Wow.
So Evelyn's estate passes into a trust. And her children, this trust is for her grandchildren and her children. And it included the diamond, which at this point is valued at over $250 million.
You can keep that damn thing.
So they want to get rid of it. Not unwise, in my opinion. Yes, get the hell rid of that. But they can't find anybody to buy it. Nobody wants it. Everybody now believes that this thing is cursed. They've seen bad things happen to everyone who's ever owned it. And again, Evelyn was victim number 14, documented private owner, victim of number 14 of the curse of the Hope Diamond. So who steps in? Harry Winston, jeweler to the stars.
Of course.
And he says, I will be happy to take this diamond off your hands. So they're very happy. He purchases the diamond, but Harry Winston actually never goes and picks it up. He decides that he is going to donate it to the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C., which it still resides to this day and is on display. And is that not a gorgeous stone?
Oh, it
is beautiful.
Gorgeous.
But I'm sure somebody took old Harry Winston to the side and said, look, man, I know what you just bought, and it's probably not a good idea. Maybe you want to take that thing and put it in a
tax
museum
write-off,
somewhere.
dude. You need a tax write-off this year, don't you, dude?
Yeah.
But there's one other little story, and I believe, Blake, you came across it as to what happened. Why don't you tell that part? So Harry Winston buys it, and he says, oh, we're just going to have it sent to the Smithsonian. But what happens?
So I was just scrolling through the research, and at the very end, I got to that story. And so they have the courier come and take it to the Smithsonian. And I believe, if I remember correctly, it was 2 weeks after he delivered it, handling it, holding it, delivering it over to the Smithsonian. He is in a truck accident where his leg is completely smashed.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
I know he transported it, but I guess he would have had to have touched it to transport it.
He would have had to have handled the package. I'm sure he didn't get to touch the actual diamond itself.
Yeah.
But he was the one that handled the package and got his leg completely crushed in a truck accident 2 weeks after he had delivered it to the Smithsonian.
Victim number 15.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So, since it has been on display at the Smithsonian, there have not been any reported incidents pertaining to the Curse of the Hope Diamond since it entered their collection. And I'm sure that they probably don't want any incidents. Now, you know, whenever its anniversary came up and they had someone, and I cannot remember, forgive me, someone on the internet web will correct me and pop it up there, that redesigned the setting for the Hope Diamond. And it was put in this very lavish thing to be displayed. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I wouldn't want to touch that thing.
No. Not in a million years.
But it seems to only have bad things attached to people who possess it in some way. So being that the Smithsonian is an institution rather than a singular person, and again, even the person that carried it had it in his possession to transport it, something bad happened to him. So perhaps the diamond doesn't want to be possessed by anyone.
I mean, I wouldn't even want to be I think it would be very cool to be a curator at the Smithsonian, but if they ever told me, hey, no, I'm not going anywhere near that thing. That thing ain't moving. It's going to sit right in that display case where it's at. It ain't bothered nobody. I ain't bothering it. It's going to stay there.
Yep. Now, I have been to the Smithsonian.
Me too.
And I had gone when I was, 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. And my grandmother loved jewelry. Oh, and she didn't have anything fake because she worked at a time when women didn't work and she was not going to wear fake things. So what's the first place we want to go? She wants to go see the Hope Diamond. Here I am. I'm going with my grandma. We go up, and I'm telling you, to stand there and look at it, your eyes get big. And I have to tell you, there's a little something in your heart that goes, oh, I wonder what it'd be like to put it on. I'm telling you, that little moment overcomes you. You can see how people would become obsessed and in love with this stone. And strangest thing, I didn't take a picture of it. I didn't want to. So that's how we were talking about earlier, Ryan, about the pictures. Yeah. I had my little camera. I took a picture of Archie Bunker's chair, but I didn't take a picture of the Hope Diamond. And I remember my grandmother and I were just standing there staring at it in awe. And it's beautiful and it's breathtaking. But I didn't take a picture of it.
I don't think I did either. I took a bunch of pictures in the Smithsonian.
I took a bunch of pictures as well.
That's one I don't think I took a picture of.
I did not take a picture of the Hope Diamond. Isn't that odd?
I wonder if it's a thing where people are just absolutely so captivated by it that it just slips your mind to stop and take a picture of it.
What did you think whenever you saw it, Ryan?
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous, and it's a lot bigger than what you think it is.
Whenever we say it started out as 112 and 3/16 carats, that 44 carats that it is now is still pretty damn big.
Yeah.
That's a big stone.
A big piece of jewelry. It really is. And I mean, it's
with it on its display. I mean, everybody knows a regular display at a jewelry store. I mean, god dang, look at that thing just on a display.
Yeah, most of the time, the stuff I'm looking at, like they like pull it all the way down, and it doesn't. I mean, it's like that little tiny thing. They're like, "Where is it? Oh, there it is. It's I see it." That's the one I can afford. So
that thing's huge. I mean, it definitely. like and it being so huge, it definitely draws attention to it. Like when you see it, you know what you're like, oh, that's it. That's the thing.
Now, whenever we went, I remember that we actually kind of had to wait our turn to see it because there were people that were literally surrounding it.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, whenever you're in there, and that's where people go. Whenever you're in that part, they go to look at the Hope Diamond. And people will just stand there to the point where I was like, Grandma, are we ever going to get up there and see it? She's like, just wait your turn. Wait your turn. When I was 13 years old. What do you mean I gotta wait my turn? I go trucking up front. I'm like got my nose pretty much up against the glass. Of course, they frown on that. Don't touch the glass. It is pressure sensitive, and you will set off an alarm. And yeah, but you stand there with your mouth open, and you just gaze at it, and it is mesmerizingly beautiful. You can see how people would be just lustful of it and want to possess it. So Blake, when are you going to see it?
That is actually on my bucket list to get up to that whole area and go.
Smithsonian's free, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, to get up
not
there.
To get up there, it's not.
Well, yeah, not to get up there, and it's not.
But when you get up there, you ain't got to pay for much.
Yeah, but no, it's on my bucket list. I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to make it up there to be able to see it. I do want to see it in person because I find the story of it fascinating. But I was going to ask you, Shelley, in your research, did they ever say how or from whom after it disappeared for 20 years that it showed up just at a local merchant back in overseas? Just how many?
It basically says, and I think I looked at, and of course, you know me, I don't like Wikipedia because any, Tom, Dick, and Harry can jump in there and edit Wikipedia. Yeah, I went to the Smithsonian's website. I went to the encyclopedia. Of all things, there's an Encyclopedia Britannica website. I figured the farther back I went, the more likely I was to get less edited information. Yeah. More accurate and more, and so I went to all these different places that was not Wikipedia, not there anything against it, but no, thank you, not for research. Yeah. And I didn't, they all say it disappears for 20 years and it mysteriously shows up in this jeweler's shop, cut down by about 20 carats.
Wow.
So, but the color is so distinctive, and the original, when it was originally cut by Louis the
14th, wasn't it?
Louis the 14th, Marie Antoinette. Louis the 13th,
16th was Marie Antoinette.
Louis the 14th, excuse me, yes, was Louis the 16th, Marie Antoinette. Louis the 14th, when it was cut by him, that it was so distinctive, and it was in the French crown jewels, and this was not something that anyone who was in the know of jewelry and jewelers, they would have known what this stone looked like. This very famous stone, Marie Antoinette used to wear it on her neck, and she was painted with it. And this is something that they would have known what the stone looked like, even though it was on different continents.
I'm curious, the thing that because you were saying a lot of it, especially when the king had it cut down, it was discarded, and then when it shows back up again and it's smaller. I wonder if there were any pieces of jewelry that were made from the throwaways, from cutting it down.
I don't recall seeing any information about what happened to the slivers of the diamond that were left. But if you know anything about diamond cutting, you have to be very precise, and you basically chip and chip and chip away with it, and your cuts have to be very precise. Very precise. Because you wiggle just a little bit whenever you go to cut that piece of stone, and you can shatter the entire diamond. You have to very delicately cut pieces off, and I'm sure the pieces were so small.
Yeah,
that true. I mean, there's no telling what happened to it, and I didn't find anything. Of course, I didn't really look at what happened to the throwaway pieces. They could have been made into other pieces of jewelry for the French crown jewels.
Well, if you have any antique blue diamond jewelry,
French jewelry from
overseas, just be careful.
Who knows? So I actually stumbled across, doing a little bit of research for myself. I actually stumbled across an article that I wanted to present because I knew we were going to be talking about this, and I think this is a perfect setting to kind of discuss between the three of us. Basically says Cartier is the one that created this curse, this elaborate story The elaborate story, because if he did not sell the diamond, he himself had taken a gamble in purchasing it.
That's right.
If he did not sell the diamond, he was going to go belly up, basically, the firm would. And so he knew that if he created this lavish, crazy curse, quote unquote, that Evelyn would be so enamored with that story that she would just purchase it. Obviously, it worked. But now my question is, with all of this research presented, was it really an elaborate story? Or
well,
is it
you
an
know,
actual curse?
George is documented. Louis XIV is documented. Louis XVI is documented. Now, could the Sultan going crazy and could that have been created by Pierre Cartier? Very possible.
Right.
Very possible. And that you are exactly right. I actually did leave that part out of the story, that it was alleged that Cartier made up these wild stories in order to entice Evelyn to buy it. And you know, and so if it was a story, how did he get so many things right?
Right.
Documented things.
Documented,
right.
exactly.
I mean, yeah. And
because we're at the turn of the century whenever, I mean, they can't just go to Wikipedia and jump on the interwebs and search a bunch of shit and everything like that. Like, I mean.
Yeah. And after Cartier sells it to Evelyn and her family, I mean, they just start dropping like flies after a few years. So.
And then even the transport person who handles the box meets with ill fortune. So is this one of those things where is the stone really cursed, or was the curse talked into existence? But if Cartier is truly the author of the story of the curse, well, he came along before way after 1666.
Right.
So
how to me it's I think it's a fable of a fable, that he created this elaborate story and curse and all this. I mean, come on, it's all documented. I mean, all these people who owned it met some crazy, weird misfortune and or deaths throughout their lifetime. So, I mean, I honestly think that there is. I believe in a curse. I mean, I would say that I believe in a curse. I go on record and say that.
And again, and I know what you're saying about Cartier because again, I found that too. However, don't you think that just telling Evelyn McLean that it was owned by Marie Antoinette?
Oh, absolutely.
Don't you think that would be enough to sell it?
Totally been enough.
It was a piece of the French crown jewels, and Evelyn, you can have it for a mere $180,000. It's yours. Shouldn't that be enough to sell it? Shouldn't that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, she would have whipped out her
curse.
Yeah, she would have whipped out her pocketbook instantly and bought that if you had told her it was Marie Antoinette's. I guarantee.
And actually, Ned was present whenever she bought the diamond because Cartier had brought it in a box. And he's showing us, and he allegedly he makes out as if he's not going to say, he can't even show her this one, that, no, it's too rare. And then, of course, she wants to see it. And Ned allegedly buys it for her as their 1-year anniversary wedding present.
Now, question, do we know anything about Cartier? Did anything ever happen to him after coming into possession of this thing? Or did he meet a weird
very
end,
wealthy man?
Yeah.
Cartier?
Yeah. Very wealthy man.
I wonder.
Jeweler.
Yeah, I wonder if like anything funky happened to him when he had it in his possession. But
it's kind of interesting. But he also was one of the shorter owners of it.
He was basically, but technically
right.
he was not an owner. Technically, he was not an owner. He was a broker for the sale.
Oh, okay.
True.
He was a broker.
Yeah,
he was never technically an owner.
So
however, he did have to bring it to Evelyn in a courier fashion. But like you said, I did read that he had to sell the gemstone to get his cut of the money.
Right.
And at that time, I guess, I mean, gosh, the money, I guess, with the more affluent people flowed very freely. But you had to be pretty affluent to afford diamonds and things like that. Yeah. And perhaps business wasn't so good. So somebody said, if you will sell this for me, I'll give you a cut.
Now, I know we were kind of joking before we went on the air about it being on the Titanic. And that's a myth that goes along with this thing, if I'm correct, right? I said myth.
Shelly's face.
You're making my lip twitch, Ryan.
I said myth.
Okay, let me be very clear. The Hope Diamond was never on the fucking Titanic. That is a movie. The movie is Titanic, and it's called The Heart of the Ocean, and that shit is fictitious. Yes, there really was a boat named Titanic. Really was a boat named. There was nobody saying, I'll never let you go, bitch. Yes, you did. So no, there was it's all fiction. That's a movie.
Hey man, there was room on that plank. She could have let him up there.
Yeah, I know she could have.
Now, I mean, obviously, you can tell from the look of the diamond in the movie versus the look of the Hope diamond. It is
made to look like the cursed diamond.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
But that is a myth that gets conflated a lot with the Hope diamond. They're just Hope diamond it was on the Titanic. No one.
The Hope diamond was never on the Titanic, although had it been and it somehow escaped, wow. That would have been a hell of a story.
Yeah, that would have definitely added to
maybe it would have floated on a raft like the Delhi Sapphire. You throw it into the water, it just comes on back.
Somebody could have been dredging that part of the ocean. You never know. And just whoop, there it is.
No, the movie Titanic took lots of liberties in that little storyline. The love story, of course, involves the heart of the ocean jewel, which is supposed to look just like the Hope diamond. But the Hope diamond was never on the freaking Titanic, people. You're welcome.
Was not. 100% was not.
Ryan did that just to enrage me, didn't you, Ryan?
I think so. Just to get a quick reaction out of you.
I'm just like, okay, movies and reality and history are kind of getting all kinds of discombobulated up in here. Yeah.
I mean, and that's a common thing that happens, and that's why we do our due diligence and we do our research, because we like to separate that, because a lot of stuff does get woven in together, and there's always a lot of myth and lore and legend around a lot of major historical items and major historical events, and we like to get in there and be like, nah, that's not exactly how it happened.
And then there's a movie made about it that is loosely, the only thing accurate about that movie is the freaking boat sinks. Okay, that's the only thing accurate about the movie Titanic is the damn boat sinks. The rest is fiction. So I guess that's called a docudrama, loosely based docudrama.
Loosely based.
Very loosely.
You know what when they say at the beginning, based on true events of a movie, you know, when they say at the beginning of that,
that means
take that for what it is.
Sank. The boat sank, and that was it. That's the part that's loosely based.
There was a comedian, and it escapes me right now. He said that he went and saw a movie. Like, if you see, like there's based on true events and there's inspired by true events, and he's like, if it's inspired by true events, it's like,
it's all fiction.
You know, he's like, I went and saw a movie about a skateboard. It inspired me to write a movie about a gorilla, you know? I mean, like, so it's inspired by a true event, but let me write this, you know.
There you go.
That's very true.
Yes. So that's right. The movie Titanic is inspired by real events because, like I said, the only thing historically accurate is that the damn boat sinks. So, that's So I bet everybody is looking at their spouse that gave them a piece of jewelry for Christmas and going, "What the fuck did you just give me?
Where'd you get this? Do you have
where'd you buy this
paperwork for it? You can
antique store. What are you trying to do to me? Take your shit back."
Asking.
That would too.
Especially if it was blue.
Did you buy this at the antique mall? Where'd this come from?
You better not have. You take that shit back. You take it back right now. You get your money back.
Poor Edward Herone Allen. Just freaking do it again. Do the hello. Do the droopy again, Ryan.
Hello. It's me again, folks.
I don't know. Yeah, but I never trusted people who gave me jewelry. I also never trusted the one that gave me a gun either. So that is a story for another day.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
That is a story for another day.
Oh my God.
So be careful of what you got for Christmas.
Check your stuff.
Yes, check your stuff.
Double check it. Find the papers. Do the history
Triple
on it.
Check it.
Get your little certificate of authenticity and see where that diamond came from. You never know. It might have something attached to it. Absolutely. We hope not. But if you think it does, go ahead and get rid of it.
And tell us about it, though. But tell us about it first.
Send us a picture of it and tell us all about it.
Tell us all about your cursed object.
And then you take that shit to the pawn shop and let it be somebody else's problem.
I'm like, you know what? If you think that you do have a cursed object at home, please tell us the story. You can send your story to the evppod@gmail.com. That's THEEVPPOD@gmail.com. Don't forget, you can also find us on multiple social media channels. We are on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on Twitch. We are on Facebook. We're on Spotify and about 8,000 other podcast channels. So we are wherever you get your podcast.
I was going to say too, go like us on Apple, give us a 5-star on Apple Music and review us on Apple Music. It keeps us relevant and in their little feed. So please go do that as well.
Absolutely. Because on our social media channels, we have all different kinds of evidence, not just about cursed objects, but haunted locations and all that stuff. So please make sure you go and check those out. So we want to thank y'all for joining us for this cursed object, the Hope Diamond and Delhi Sapphire. For Ryan Roberts and Shelley Pruitt, I am Blake Smith. Thank y'all so much for joining us, and we will see you next Tuesday.
We'll see you in the new year. Bye, everybody.